everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's so good to see you. I have my bird out right now, just so you know. I don't know if he wants to come over. Come here. He's doing the little hop dance. Come on. We aren't exactly on skin-to-skin contact yet, but I'll show you guys where he's at. So he decided to climb up here. Little update, there he goes. But I wanted to start off this video by saying thank you so much for both the support on my first video involving birds, as well as us reaching 100 subscribers, which I totally think is a big milestone. It's just so incredible that so many people could like birds, so I'm happy for that. So as for what today's video is going to be all about, I figured, since I got a commenter that asked for it, as well as it's kind of something I've been wanting to talk about for a while, I want to talk about how I personally bonded with my lovebird, as well as my other birds in general. That got a little closer to the camera, but I wanted to make note of something really fast, and that's the fact that this is definitely one of those opinion-based videos on how I personally did it. I know that not everybody shares the same exact pet that, of course, I do, and they have different personalities, and some of them are not gonna like doing this, and others are, you know, gonna be different, like that. So yes, this would be my lovebird Toast. He is a year old in June, as you can tell. He's got to be one of the most playful and smart birds I think I've ever owned, and I'm gonna tell you about how I became friends with him and what that's like. So the first tip has got to be pretty much the most obvious one, and yes, that is to spend time with your bird. If you never ever play with your bird and you don't interact with them often, you're not going to see results because you're not putting in the work. Quite frankly, birds are meant to be kind of like a dog, and a lot of people treat them more like, well, an object, and that's just not a very good perspective, especially if you want to have a relationship with your little guy. But for some, that's easier said than done. So what do you do to start spending time with your bird? Some great things that I did for starters was, frankly, I just spent genuine time with him whilst he was in his cage. Now, that means that I talked to him, I spent time near him, I did pretty much everything I could to get used to him. And when I first purchased him online and he came to me, to get him into his cage, he had to be let out of his enclosure first. So from the very minute that he came home, he was already interacting with me. Now this may be different for some people depending on where you purchased your bird. For example, parakeets come in a small enough enclosure where sometimes you can put them in their cage right away. I do suggest that you start out with them in their cage if you can, but some don't agree with that, and that's totally your choice. What I will say, for those of you who want to take your bird out of the cage right away, please remember that your bird at this point sees you as a stranger. You may have purchased them from a breeder. You may have gotten used to their bird being at the pet store. But remember, your bird doesn't recognize you yet and doesn't trust you fully. Unlike dogs, who are usually unconditionally in love with their owners, birds tend to need time to build a relationship with people similar to other humans. They are incredibly intelligent and will form bonds with people over time. But like I said, it takes a minute. This, of course, leads me into the second thing that was really hard for me to learn, but is so important to bonding with your bird, and that is patience. I'll admit, this is one of the biggest mistakes that I made when I just got Toast. I really wanted everything to happen the minute he came home, which is a bad mindset. And here's why. Toast was a baby when I got him. Most of the birds that I've owned throughout my life, including my cockatiels, are elderly rescues that already had relationships with humans and were accustomed to them. Good ways to practice mindfulness when trying to keep in mind that you need to be patient is to make sure that you give your bird space and you allow them to consent to being friends with you. This is always something that seems to be hard to talk about, but honestly, the reason why me and Toast have a good relationship now, and he'll go on my shoulder, and he's working on getting on my arm and things such as that, is mostly because I let him do it on his own. Some of it was training. I do use a ball and I use special treats to get him to go where I want him to. But I never ever forced him to come onto my arm or onto my hand or anything of the sort. Some things that I often see new bird owners do that is kind of, well, it is a bad thing to do, is they try to force things such as like head rub or touching them in the wrong places, such as their back, their lower chest, or anywhere besides their head, which can cause a lot of bad hormones. Remember, your bird does not need to touch you. You don't need to touch your bird. Not all birds are going to like head rub. It's just a simple fact. In fact, most of my birds don't like being touched on their head, period, and I leave them alone. Here's a great example I want you to think about. Forcing your bird to do things such as stepping up on your finger or giving them head rub when they don't want it would be similar to giving somebody a hug that you know doesn't like hugs. If you're consistently destroying that other person's boundaries, it can lead to them not wanting to be around you, being fearful for you, or simply getting angry at you. But on to the third thing that I use to help bond with my bird, and that's, well, finding out what your bird likes. This can be a whole lot of trial and error. In fact, recently I found out that my bird favors being trained with pumpkin seeds over the ball that I've been training him with for months. And that's because I accidentally gave it to him as like a little treat for him getting back into his cage, and I didn't think he would even like it, and he went for it. I saw a lot of people online say that their lovebirds love sticking paper in their tails, so I gave him a little paper. He didn't like it. He didn't want to stick any of it in his tail, and he straight up ignored the paper. Totally fine. The main thing is to not expect your bird to like or dislike something, because that's what most of the species does. The important thing here is to listen to what your bird is trying to tell you. They can't necessarily talk to you, and oh wow, is he fighting with one of his toys.
Noted this little nut. I gotta clean up his cage because he keeps spilling his food, but I wanted to make this. He really likes the toy. The little blue thing. I didn't think he liked it, but he had a swing in here for his little fifth toy, but he absolutely destroyed said swing, so I will keep you guys posted. Sorry for the detour. I had to put it back.
Leading right into our final thing, make sure that your bird's needs are met. This seems pretty basic, but it actually can lead to you having a closer relationship with your bird. I always give Toast food before I go to work, and I make sure that he has water and everything he needs to live in his cage and outside of his cage and to have a happy life. He gets vegetables, he gets the occasional fruit, he gets treats, he has lots of toys to play with. All of these things give him trust in me, his parent. You want to especially make sure that your bird is not getting bored with their surroundings. I make sure that he always has toys so that when I'm not home, he can still have fun and enjoy his day. These are all things that make him friends with you, or whatever you want to call it. Parent-son relationship, crazy roommate, and other crazy roommate. Who knows? But yeah, most of this video is kind of self-explanatory, but you know, if you're a first-time bird owner, a lot of this stuff may seem like unsteady and hard to understand and stressful, and that's okay. Let yourself feel those things. In summary, really, how to bond with your bird is mostly seeing them as more than just an item that you own. See them as a friend. See them as a little buddy that you want to help out in any way that you can, and grow from there. Make sure that you're training them, make sure that you're keeping that bond with them regularly, make sure that you're keeping contact, and you allow yourself to have time and process you and your bird's relationship on its own. Come on, guys. And soon you'll find your relationship with your bird is blossoming. Finally. Guys, I hope that you enjoyed the video and that you had a good time here. I want you to remember that it's taken a hot minute for Toast and I to get to this point. I couldn't be more happy, but dear God, is this man's crazy. So if you guys actually want to see some other videos with him, other than just tip videos, like, I don't know, him being an insane little bird, let me know. So I'd like to make a note real quick before I go that I do have my own Redbubble shop, which hopefully I'll be able to figure out how to display here, that sells basically almost every bird you can think of in stickers, on clocks, on notebooks, basically everything you could think of for, you know, anything you need. But if you want, you can check it out. Toast approves, obviously. And other than that, I will see you in the next video. Be sure to subscribe for more birdie content. I see you guys later. I love you. Running away! I'm running! Mom's running! Bye.